All right, this is Market Pros. I love doing this segment because I get a chance to bring in a lot of new people with a lot of very, very interesting topics to discuss, and I think you're going to really like this one. With me, I have, out of the UK, Mercedes Oestermann van Essen. Mercedes is a trader. She's been trading since 2001, trades index futures, foreign exchange, a day trader, an active trader. But she's also a trading mentor, success coach, and author. Her line is empower your trading through the way of the Buddhist Trader. So there's a lot about Mercedes that it has in common with me. We're going to bring her in right now, and you're really going to get to meet Mercedes. Mercedes, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me on, Slim.
Well, I'm so glad to have you on. I love this gold cast that you have in the room. It's really a great look. So I think it's a perfect.
It's my energy signature.
It's your signature?
Yes.
That's great. It's great. So you and I have so much in common. I just love reading your posts. Mercedes and I are in certain groups that we post on, and so many things that I see Mercedes put up, you are just so much in line with my thinking. I take a holistic approach to when I deal with traders, and what you say and you discuss is about the universal law, talking about all of the universal correlation cycles. Let's talk about The Way of the Buddhist Trader, which is your book, available on Amazon. Talk to me about that. Tell me what that means.
Well, basically the Buddhist Trader teaches my philosophy not only about life, but how I came to understand life through the medium of trading. And what I discovered, because, basically like most traders who started out, I didn't have a pretty good run to begin with. I had quite a few challenges, and far more than I could have ever dreamt of, because, until I started trading, I'd done pretty much okay in life. Well, so I thought. And when I started, the journey on intraday trading, of course, with the idea, we can make money very quickly, I had a very, very big surprise. Not so much that my bank account didn't grow as quickly as I thought it would, but far more about my emotional reactions to what was happening. And that was the thing that really, really took me by surprise. And it was the thing, I couldn't really handle, because I could handle my trading strategies. I knew what I was doing. When I was doing sim trading, everything was fine, and, we are doing reasonably okay. I had done good investments before. So I just did not understand, what was happening. And the Buddhist Trader.
So when you say what was happening, you mean happening internally to you?
Internally, yes. I was basically introduced to the fickleness of my mind, and I had to come to terms with the shock of this. And there was at the time, very little, where I could go to find the answers. And the Buddhist Trader basically is the result of the search, and for me it was going first of all deeper into my own psychology, seeing why I had fears and anger and all sorts of emotions, which I didn't really realize that I had, to the extent as they were coming to the forth, and then I somehow, it was almost as if by stealth, something else crept into the picture, and that was the awareness that there is much more to this than just the struggle to make money at the end of the day, and that there was a bigger picture that told me I should not have to have the struggle, which led me into studying universal law in much more detail. And then of course we get into quantum physics, then we get into the neuroscience of things, and it all kind of, sort of becomes almost sort of a crossover, and, like a big junction where all the traffic comes together. And hey presto, if we now know, and this is what the Buddhist Trader is all about, taking the traffic on the crossroads and putting it into order, and
So
sending it off in the right directions for the linear mind to make sense and apply it in your everyday life. That's the beauty of it. It's not just about trading, even though it is focused on trading, but it's about much more than that. It's about, really, using trading to understand how to improve your life.
So it goes kind of really both ways, and I talk about this a lot when I work with traders of this holistic approach. You talk about the crossroads essentially, and that crossroads, it's not a crossroads of figuring out how all the charts line up or how to use all the technicals. It's this crossroads of stuff that goes on internally within us. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
So if we take this a little bit further about the universal law and correlations and all that, what I talk about often is charts. I mean, that's what I look at all of the time, and many of my video segments I do are just talking about charts and cycles and correlations and how everything works together. But I think there's a real important concept there that I don't even know that I really say it as clearly as I can, and that is that all of that we look at, all of that we learn, that's all about igniting the intuitive process so that we can then feel the things that are going on in the market. People say to me they can't believe sometimes the market feel that I have, and it's really because I use all of these tools and allow that to come forth. Would you agree with that?
Most certainly so. One thing I teach traders who work with me on a regular basis is to look at a very fast moving chart, either a tick chart or a 1 minute chart, and learn to see the chart in slow motion. And what that does, it helps you to become aware of what goes on, what is predominantly in the subconscious, and bringing that forward. And it's not a one-day job. It takes practice, and there are tools that facilitate this practice. But
Right.
when you get there, it helps you tremendously. Certainly, dealing with the volatility we have been experiencing of late, where traders are, unless they have been training their minds, they will be falling prey to the fast movement, which triggers emotional reactions, impulse reactions, going with the trend. Of course, by the time you put on the trade, the move is over. Then you reverse it. By the time you are in the reversal, it's turned over. Well, I don't have to tell you. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, you're talking
So,
about the whipsaw. you
yeah,
know
yeah. And the whipsaw of the mind,
yeah.
more
you know,
so.
one of the things, and you're really touching on right here, is that in my curriculum of coaching and workshops, one of the things that I talk about a lot is building emotional muscle, building emotional fitness. And that's really what you're talking about right now. It's about understanding what happens on these moves in the markets and how that causes things to go on within us, brings up emotions of who knows what they are that are really coming from long back in our history. And without this, having this experience of this emotional muscle being built and having the emotional literacy, which takes a long time to get, I think that people get very, very lost and stuck in their own emotional reaction. Right?
Yes, very much so. Very well said, Slim. I don't really need to say anything else. I mean, that's
Oh.
it in a nutshell. Yes.
Well, let's get back to what you were saying a moment ago about wild markets, about these markets that really changed. Right now, in these last couple of weeks, we're seeing something very, very different than we have before. Tell me about what you're telling people that you work with about how to adapt, how to do it both internally, personally, and in actual approach to the market.
Well, my approach to this is twofold. Now, first of all, it's a very practical approach, and that is, what you already alluded to, the tools we are talking about, how we see the markets. It takes time, and that is the detachment, becoming the observer of your feelings, of your inner emotions, and you do this by slowing down the inner talk. So, okay, how do you do this? You do this, well, my favorite tool is the practice of meditation. Again, that is not an overnight tool. It takes time to learn to calm the mind and then take that meditation practice to the markets, because it's one thing, sort of lying in bed or sitting in a dark space or with your eyes closed. The whole point is taking that feeling into the market. Now, what I have found is extremely helpful, and certainly was for me, and certainly is helpful for the people I'm working with. When you understand yourself in the larger macro, big context of the universe, and I'm not only talking about, okay, the economy is doing this, that, and the other thing. It's nothing to do with this. It is understanding how we as humans are placed in the cosmos and how we function as ultimately spiritual beings in this universe. So what really what I'm talking about is which everybody sooner or later will come to when they are getting into the personal development arena deeper. It becomes a spiritual inquiry, and by that I mean understanding that we are much more than just human beings who are living out life, trading, doing, making a good trade today, identifying with that, making a losing trade the next day, identifying with that. What I'm talking about is that we are stepping into a place whereby life is larger than the trade you are placing, whether it's a winner or a loser. And also, okay, that takes time, and that also takes a willingness to allow yourself to go beyond the frontiers of your existence. That means going beyond your identity as me, Mercedes Oestermann van Essen, the trader, Slim Miller, the trader, the coach, boom, boom, boom. It goes much, much deeper. We are going multidimensional here, but for those who are ready to do this, and I know this is not for everyone, by no means, and I'm, you can't force people's evolutionary development, but for those who are ready to go there, it takes, sort of life and trading and everything takes on a very, very different perspective.
Well, I got to tell you, that was magnificently said. Even my wife, who watches me trade all the time, she really, she says to me, okay, it's time for you to take a walk, go sit in the flowers out on the terrace, do anything to detach. You said, really, you used the word detach and making life much, much bigger than trading. That was so well said, because there's so many times that we're just in this funk and all this internal dialogue going on and trades going wrong, and everything about who we believe we are is about the trading that's going on right now rather than what really is important in our life. So you say meditation's important. I love that. Even if you get away from the trades for just like 3 minutes, take a walk, go out and breathe some fresh air, do something different to really get yourself centered and back to what's really important in your life, and detach and stop identifying with the wins and losses that are going on in trading. So you said that really well, Mercedes.
Yeah, thank you. And I think, also it's one of the most difficult things to do. And I work with a lot of professional traders, and when I say to them, guys, okay, go out, do something you really love doing. because that creates a set point which you can then bring back into your trading, and it's the biggest thing. Eventually they'll do it, but to get them to that point, it takes a long time, and they all agree, eventually they all agree, once they do it, and once they step out of the identification with, oh, this trade, and there is nothing else,
Right.
boom, 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 it becomes a totally different trading universe. It becomes a different life.
It's true. And I think that the biggest cause of failure in trading careers or big losing streaks is when a person is connected personally, who is identifying with the losses. And what they'll do is just stay in losses, hoping that it comes back so they can feel good about themselves again, rather than have anything to do with an intellectual process.
Yes, but you see, what happens, it's the process of immersion. It's like the fish who is in water. Now, the fish doesn't know anything else. It's in water. So, when we are drowned by our emotions, free losing trades in a row or whatever, for the untrained mind, and I would like to emphasize here the untrained mind, free losers in a row, okay, that's it. Immersion total. We drown, until we learn the techniques to step out of our side, out of that immersion, and see that there is something beyond the water. There is a shore, on the other side, and we can take a rest at the shore, and the mind needs to take a rest. I mean, that's a neuroscientific fact. The mind needs to relax far more than, most people understand.
Mercedes, I didn't know how much I liked you.
Thank you.
Really, really well said. I want to jump over to you. I always ask everybody on here, because I bring on only people that are traders, pros like yourself. What's your favorite trade right now? What market are you looking at?
Right. Well, actually, I'm looking at a few things. The first one, obviously, is the oil market. I'm looking here, and I like the ETFs because, it's just, you can adjust size better, and, OIH, USO, and, they, oil, OIL, they've all had good moves. I'd like to see, ideally, a 50%, stuff pullback of the, where we have been, and then, if I can get in there with a stop still below the lows, I'd feel quite comfortable, and a little bit below the lows, I'd feel quite comfortable.
We actually had that 50% retracement today, so I don't know if you noticed that when the inventory number came out on oil, it had a big drop to the downside, and then so that was kind of a buying opportunity. You say OIH, I've been talking about it's time to buy the oil drillers for the last couple of weeks. OIH is the oil driller ETF.
Yeah. Yes, right. Exactly. Yes.
So that's your favorite trade, essentially looking for oil to make a move back up.
At the moment, I think there is huge upside, and I mean the way I like to play it, I get in with a 25% position, and I mean actually I have to say, I already got in, but only with 25%, stop below the lows, so it allows me to add, and gently catch your monkey, and see where we go with this.
I like that.
And I think also we may, well, another trade for me is the bonds. So because I think the bonds are headed for a big sell-off. So I favor being short TLT. And I'm also looking at a potential that's a longer, much more longer term trade, looking out in the future. Looking at gold, and possibly silver over gold, because silver normally outperforms gold.
I got to tell you, I'm going to stop you right there, because I think you've been reading my stuff. because I've been
No,
talking about a big break in the bond market coming, and then
But I saw
I've been looking
one
for a
of your
rally in
posts
gold.
the other day. Yes, and I know it tallied with mine. If you read my blog, I've been talking about this for quite some time. But
All
hey,
right, so
great
maybe I read it for yours
minds
and I
think
stole
alike.
it from you.
Yeah, well, no, hey, maybe I stole it from you. Great minds think alike.
That's
The
right.
wonders of the universe.
That's beautiful. I love having you on. Mercedes, I want to have you on again. I want to continue this discussion. I think we could go on forever on this, but we're going to talk.
Yes.
We'll pick out some good topics and do this again.
Yeah, I'd love to. I should
Great.
absolutely love to.
Empowering Your Trading, The Way of the Buddhist Trader. Go to Amazon.com. You have other books on there too, right?
Yes, there is Stop the TBT, the Buddhist Trader. TBT stands for obviously for the Buddhist Trader. Stop Procrastinating, a program which has just gone up as a Kindle thing, will also be available very soon as a physical book on Amazon. But also it's as a download on my website, and that I think is a very topical book at the moment, because with all the uncertainty that is going on at the moment, all the big shifts that are going on, people are becoming aware of things, which, they didn't know, emotions they didn't know they had. And that creates uncertainty, that creates hesitation, and the TBT Stop Procrastination program deals with that specifically.
Beautiful. That's great. Do you have contact information you want to share?
Yeah, I mean,
Your website or
thebuddhisttrader.com. You can.
I just stepped
contact
on
me.
you. Please say it again.
Thebuddhisttrader.com is my website, and on there is a contact form. And yes, I mean, please contact me.
That's
there.
great. We'd love to get comments from our viewers out there about having Mercedes on and having her on again. Mercedes, again, I want to thank you. Great discussion that we've had here. I appreciate all your input. And boy, do I ever feel like I'm on the same wavelength here.
Touche. Thank you so much for asking me. I really enjoyed my time.
Great. We'll see you again.
Thank
Thanks,
you, sir.
Mercedes.
Well, I'm going to the city and I'm gonna do a steady show.